welcome to round number 4 of the Formula 1 season, and we are here for the Canadian Grand Prix. So let's get straight into all of the breaking news and race headline stories before we head on into the Grand Prix. First of all, Aston Martin are currently in talks with both Red Bull and Williams regarding a takeover into the sport. Currently, Aston Martin are title sponsors with Red Bull and also are engine suppliers with Red Bull as well. Aston Martin are now considering taking the next step into Formula 1 and having their own team. Of course, we understand with Red Bull obviously having close connections with Aston Martin. Would Aston Martin do a full takeover and remove Red Bull from Formula 1? Most likely it looks like Aston Martin will probably end up taking over Williams, but there is still a shout that Red Bull could leave Formula 1 and end up being Aston Martin Racing. Reese and Tom have put all their issues aside from the Brazilian Grand Prix. Obviously, from the US Grand Prix, we saw that both Tom and Reese were staying well apart from each other. Every time they saw each other in the same proximity, they looked and walked in the other direction. We've had confirmation from both Reese and Tom that they were just taking the piss. We heard that they were well over it afterwards anyway, and they decided to just have some fun with the media and create the drama at the US Grand Prix as well for the sake of it and have some fun. So yeah, if Reese and Tom have issues again, note to self to the media. Don't take them seriously. Next up, Audi are looking to, surprisingly, launch a protest against Renault regarding their current front wing. Audi believe that the Renault's front wing is currently breaching the flexi front wing rules. Very strange, this one. Not sure where this has come from and why they've decided to go for this now, but they're looking to do so. So it's whether they do decide to launch a protest. Renault have not yet commented on this, and I doubt they will. Yeah, very strange to see this one come through, but it is what it is. Finally, what's been quite a quiet season for Sam so far, he's decided to hit himself into the headlines. As we know, Lando Norris has currently been seeking to have a look at his contract, which is currently him at Williams. Of course, if you're unaware of the story, Lando Norris signed for BMW. However, BMW then decided to leave the sport, and Williams shockingly came back into Formula 1 to take over from BMW. Lando Norris, however, doesn't believe that his contract submitted him to go to Williams. He was specifically told that he was going to sign and race for for BMW in this current season, and he had a lot of high hopes and promise and persuasion to go to them. He's trying to get his contract reviewed and see if there's any form of legality breaches within that. Lando Norris has officially commented and said that he's fine with racing for Williams for this season alone. However, he needs full clarification and is willing to put pressure via the use of the media to do so. In saying that, Sam has now hit out at Lando Norris, saying that he needs to be more professional in this current situation. Sam, of course, was Lando Norris' teammate when they were both at McLaren last season, and Sam believes that he needs to be more professional in this current state. Otherwise, it's going to put not only a bad reputation on those that are involved, but also a very negative one on him, and it will make a lot of teams not want to sign him if he continues to act in this manner. Now let's go and have a look at some of the race news for this Canadian Grand Prix. First things first, Renault have introduced some more upgrades which seem to be working well for their car. We believe that they've introduced a couple of little components to the floor which is really helping them out quite a lot, and they're really happy with the balance of the car. Once again though, it's Porsche that is shining with their tyre wear usage in this Grand Prix. Porsche at the moment just really are pretty much a very solid midfield car. However, you put them on the right strategy and they're a force to be reckoned with at the front of the field. And again, tyre wear is working in their favour, and it might just be that they cause a bit of a surprise. Red Bull's long run pace is surely going to help them out to counter what seems to be very poor qualifying pace. Red Bull, of course, do not have a good straight line speed, and with their Canada being a high power circuit, it's not working out for them. Their race pace, though, is still very, very strong, and they'll look to use that. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. For round number 4, it's the Canadian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxy98 here and welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 Journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for round number 4 at the Canadian Grand Prix and really get straight on with it and get on into qualifying. If you do enjoy today's video, feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well, and try and hit the target goal of 50 likes for this episode. And like I said, there is 56% of you that are watching these videos and are not subscribed. So click the subscribe button. Why not? You're watching it, so help me out. Anyway, so let's get straight on into qualifying then. First things first, it was a very scruffy qualifying session for us. It really didn't work out well. This first lap was obviously just my banker lap. On my second run, I didn't even manage to improve on my lap. It was very, very poor. It was just scruffy. I just didn't get anything right. And that was kind of the story of qualifying. I just didn't get anything right. And on this final run here, again, we're sort of matching it. And then, of course, we got that slight toe from Bottas on our very first banker lap. And annoyingly enough, it was my banker lap at the very start of the session, which was my best. It was really frustrating because there were parts on the circuit where I was at least about half a second to 6/10 up. So if you put that into perspective, we could have potentially actually threatened that front row lockout that Ferrari managed to get themselves here today and get in the mix with Ferrari and Mercedes. But annoyingly, we're all the way down in P10. Nothing we could do about it. And obviously the more frustrating thing is that we're starting on the hyper soft tyres when we could have technically got onto this ultra softs if we literally lost out by a couple of hundredths of a second, which we would have lost if we didn't get that toe. But nonetheless, we're where we are, and we're just going to have to see and do just do what we can. So we've got 5 red lights then. Here we go, and it slides out. Here we go here for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. It's been a good getaway from a lot of the pack. The Jaguar car there getting a very nice run as we now try and get a run on Lewis Hamilton. Going in towards turn 1, very cautious on this attempt here as we now get the outside line for turn 2, which can sometimes favour you as we can get a much better exit and just carry a bit more speed. But on that occasion, it didn't actually work out well for us. So I have to cover off the Porsche of Nico Rosberg, who's getting in on the act there behind me now as we comfortably make our way through. But it's now both the Porsches and Audi cars scrapping it out here. So we've got Rosberg versus Devon Butler as they go through in towards the middle sector. Bottas and also Pascal Wehrlein fighting it out behind then, as we can see now Esteban Ocon getting caught into this trap here via these two cars fighting hammer and tongs now as they go in towards this chicane here. It is going to be Nico Rosberg that outwits Devon Butler. Meanwhile, Pascal Wehrlein versus Valtteri Bottas carries on for a bit longer here as we've got one of the Ford and Jaguar cars going at it, but I think that Jaguar car gets away unscathed as one of the Ford cars there that was the second one behind just lost its front wing end plate there. That was Carlos Sainz, I think, that's just lost his front wing end plate. So his race is already gone down the pan, and it's only the first lap of the race. But at the front, though, we've got a fight here between the two Ferrari cars then. So the two of them going at it. Alonso, the pole sitter, under pressure from his teammate Charles Leclerc, the young teammate of Charles Leclerc, and Leclerc does get past him then. So the Ferrari swap at the front, the two Mercedes sit behind as we get really close there to the back of Lewis Hamilton's front rear wing there, and nearly lose our front wing. But we didn't, so we're carrying on. And as you can see here, we're on to lap 2 now, and we're trying our best to get into the slipstream of Lewis Hamilton. This just demonstrates here the raw speed that the McLaren has got. And obviously with that McLaren, as we saw from the last episode, announced to have major upgrades at the French Grand Prix, I'm very terrified for what they've got in store. However, that overtake in the chicane on Lewis Hamilton has cost him some time, as Ocon now is going to have a look. Also, Rosberg is going to have a little look here. So they're going to go 3 wide in towards the first corner. Hamilton stuck in the middle. Both Rosberg and also Esteban Ocon get the job done. Hamilton loses out on 2 places there. Really not going well for him so far. Meanwhile, back at the front though, Fernando Alonso is under pressure from George Russell now in the Mercedes. So Charles Leclerc starting to build a gap out here, whereas George Russell is not building a gap. Russell's locked up though, goes a little bit wide. Oh, Russell's been tapped by Reese in the background. That's going to come into... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. That's the second race now out of the 4 where we've had George Russell has just gone into the side of someone, spun round, caused a domino spin effect, a domino effect of heavy braking, and I've lost my front wing. Right, here we go then. So George Russell then is going towards the chicane. He's locked up, and he's just tried to come back onto the track stupidly. Reese has spun him around. I've then gone into the back of my own teammate. The only advantage I've got compared to Brazil is that I don't have a 5-second stop-go penalty to serve. My only problem still is that I have lost my front wing once again, but I'm sorry, that's 100% George's fault. There's a bollard which you need to go round, and George didn't go round it. He just bounced onto the chicane and, you know, just cost us heavily there. So, really annoying. And now we're opening up the DRS, and I was having a look at the front wing, and I was thinking, can I do anything about it? No matter what, I need to stop and get a new front wing. Like, I just can't turn. Look, I'm literally putting very small amounts of throttle in, and I'm just losing time here as Ocon now makes his way past here, and we're just going to try and find a way through. And oh my god, we've been given a whack up the back there by one of the cars. That must have been Nico Rosberg that's literally just gone straight into the back of us there and punted us off the circuit. Check my front wing and see if I took any extra damage from that, but yeah, just to add insult to injury on what's already been a hard-fought race so far, Nico Rosberg just comes and plows into the back of us. We definitely are coming into the pits, and as you can see directly in front of us, Rosberg definitely has to come into the pits after that one, and unfortunately for Rosberg, he was on the ultra soft tyres, so he was actually going to do the one stop in this race. He can't do that anymore. Meanwhile, ooh, there's a bit of a Red Bull man's package there. Sorry, I accidentally pressed the wrong camera button on my controller whilst I was doing this, and just get yourself a nice little look there at the Red Bull's mechanics packages, you see what I'm saying? But packages aside, we're now down in P19, which is awful for us. But originally we were going to do a two-stop strategy. It was hypersoft, ultra soft, ultra soft. Now the tyre wear around Canada is very, very low, one of the lowest on the calendar. So I'm now aiming to take these ultra soft tyres on a mammoth stint to go and, oh hello, we've got one of the Williamses back all sidewards with no front wing in the middle of the track. This race has just become completely mental. And now Gasly's slowing down as well. What's Gasly? Gasly's got a front right puncture. So what's been just a complete war fest between all of these cars continues to be that way. So Pierre Gasly now is in trouble. Let's have a look at what happened here. So Gasly's, oh, that's just a mess. So Gasly's got a puncture. The Jaguar car has then stuck behind him. He's then realised, oh, I know what I could do. I could just go round him. Doesn't check his mirrors. Then all of a sudden the Williams car of Nick De Vries comes along and smashes into the side of him. So that's really clumsy stuff all around there. And you can see on the minimap the Jaguar going very, very slowly. But we're now attempting a mammoth stint on these ultra soft tyres to get to about lap 22, 23 on them. And then we can pit for another set of ultra soft tyres and carry on with what our original stint was in the first place here. And we're trying to, and with that being said, we've got a recovery to do. So, first things first, let's go get past Nico Rosberg, the man that rammed up my bum and cost me valuable amounts of time. Go a little bit wide in towards turn 1, in towards turn 2 though. Rosberg tries to go around the outside, but we very aggressively defend the position there, and we're up into 16th place now, making moves up the field. The rest of the front runners will be coming into the pits very, very soon. Speaking of the front runners, we've got Esteban Ocon behind us. Remember, Ocon was behind us anyway, because just before we lost our front wing, he was the next car behind me. So in effect now, we're starting to get back to where we were just before we lost our front wing, which shows the pace that we've got, and also shows that how much the other teams are fighting. Ocon there in towards the hairpin, has a little look around the outside, but we cover that one off and put Ocon under some severe pressure now from Lewis Hamilton in the McLaren behind. So that's going to give us just that extra boost that we need to blast onwards, as Hamilton now is pressurizing Ocon as they now blast down the straight here. Can Lewis Hamilton get in front of Esteban Ocon? No, not quite. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Oh no, he did. He did get past him. I thought he didn't get the move done then. But as they're two fighting up there, we're now trying to find a very small gap here versus Nico Hülkenberg. He just about gives us a room, if not with a bit of contact to say, hello, I'm actually here doing this. I know I'm stupid, but I'm going for it. And we're up into 10th place now, and we're into the points paying positions, and we're getting on with a very nice run here. Lap 11 of the Grand Prix now, and we're catching up to Lando Norris in the Williams car, albeit behind us we have got Lewis Hamilton chasing us down quite heavily. So Hülkenberg is holding up the Renault of Ocon. Hamilton is just coming with us, and yeah, not really what I wanted, but you can see Hamilton has got DRS here, but not incredibly fast as we go down onto the straight here in towards the chicane, and we get a fantastic exit versus Lando Norris, and now we can try and pressurize the Williams car and try and go around the outside, which will lead us for the inside in towards turn 1, and we do just that there, making a nice clean overtake, and that is Daniel Ricciardo and Sam just up ahead having a little bit of a scrap there. So we're really making some great progress in this Grand Prix, and yeah, this clean air is helping us a lot. Lap 14 of the Grand Prix now, and we've caught up to Lucas Weber in the other Jaguar car, who's, by the way, shout out to Weber, who's doing a great stint so far in the Jaguar car. It's really not a good car this year, Jaguar. They've really lost out on a lot of performance, but no matter what, Weber is doing a fantastic job of getting that Jaguar car as high up the grid as he can. But for us, though, we're going to launch it down the inside and towards the chicane, make a clean overtake up into 8th place. Next up the road are two drivers that have had plenty of scraps with in the past, albeit, let's go back to Bahrain round number 1, when me, Sam and Ricciardo had a very, very long scrap. They're back at it again. So here comes Daniel Ricciardo now. He's got a great run on Sam with the DRS. We have got DRS, funnily enough. But obviously Ricciardo has absolutely breezed his way up to the back of Sam. In towards the chicane goes Daniel Ricciardo, making that move, but they've cost each other time in the chicane. We're going to swoop through on Sam, get that overtake done, up into 7th place. Ricciardo squeezes us towards the inside line. We're just not quite, we're trying to have another look now. Up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo to the first corner. It's super close there between myself and the Renault driver, but this time around, Ricciardo holds on to the position. Sam, meanwhile, has lost 2 places in that ordeal as we've now got in front of Daniel, and that's a great bit of active instinct from us there to just attack Ricciardo and Sam when they cost each other heavy amounts of time in towards the chicane, which is great for us. But now as we go in towards the middle sector, we've got DRS here on Daniel Ricciardo, but Ricciardo just blasting away there, and automatically now Sam is really going to pressurize me. He's actually going to go towards the inside line now of this corner as we now try and fight our way through. Up the inside goes Sam. It doesn't work out on that occasion, but that doesn't mean that the fight is over just yet, because Sam now is going to come back at us again towards the hairpin now this time around, and as he flies through towards the hairpin, he's got the inside line, but we've got the outside line, and we can just sort of tighten his angle a little bit. He tucks in behind us, no going for him there. Lap 17 of the Grand Prix, and here comes Sam once again with another attack towards the hairpin. This time, he's going to force me to go towards the inside line to defend it this time, whereas he wants the outside line, which is completely fine because I can brake a little bit later and then just dictate the corner my own way. And now we're trying to get onto the back of Ricciardo, and luckily for us, we're still just about, despite our scrapping, holding on to the DRS with Daniel Ricciardo, and that's what we're doing right now. And I don't want to overtake Ricciardo in towards the chicane because I just didn't feel like I had enough momentum to do so. I'm going to try and attack him in towards turn 1, but that's not the way I want to be doing it. Not by a little bit of a wheel there. Tapping the wall ever so gently, and there goes my attack on Ricciardo. Didn't quite get it done, and that's not going to help us either. We're really starting to make a couple of errors now in this middle stint here as our ultra soft tyres are starting to wear out. Of course, these guys pitted on lap 8, lap 9 for these tyres. I pitted on lap 4, so I've pitted 5 laps earlier, and now I'm starting to feel the effect of my tyres. And you can see that here, as here comes Sam now with yet another attack in towards the hairpin now. Both McLarens behind me at this stage. We've got Sam and also Hamilton fighting in the mix. All I'm doing is just begging that I've got DRS on Daniel Ricciardo. If I do, I can at least just try and close that gap a little bit. As we have a look now at the bottom of our screens, we've not got DRS, so Ricciardo has escaped that format as Hamilton there decides to give me a little bit of a push and say, Tom, your engine is extremely slow, get on with it. And this time we're just trying to hold our way around the outside of the chicane, and we do just that, defend the position versus Sam, and we're going to carry on our way there. But both of them now with DRS going to come back at me now and towards the first corner. Here comes Sam towards the outside line. We're going to defend the inside line, but we get a massive screen freeze in there, which really doesn't help us mid-apex. Sam takes the position there, and that's him done and dusted. Up into 4th place goes Sam. Hamilton, meanwhile, now is going to dive it down the inside. Fair play to Hamilton. He just literally mugs me off there and goes towards the inside line. Position taken. We've dropped 2 places, and automatically you can see both McLarens are already pulling away at this stage. We're coming into the pits, and we're going to get on a fresh set of the ultra soft tyres and go to the end of the race. And as you can see now, we're back on level terms with the rest of the field, because in comes Ricciardo and in comes Sam, meaning that we've managed to take our ultra soft tyres that little bit longer so that we're no longer at a disadvantage in terms of tyre life versus my rivals. However, what they have done is they've gone onto the super soft tyres rather than go onto the ultra softs like I have. So we now have the tyre advantage for the end of the race. We've got 16 laps to take these tyres. We took our tyres about 16 laps to start with anyway, so in effect, it's a net loss. It's not really a net loss for us. It's fine. We'll take that as we go purple in the middle sector. Really flying now in this Grand Prix. We've got Valtteri Bottas in the Audi versus Daniel Ricciardo versus Sam versus me, as Reese just sets the fastest lap of the race so far on a 1:11.4. So he's much happier on his current set of tyres, as we now trying to find our way through. Sam and Ricciardo making their overtakes here, but now we need to be very tactical with this one and do exactly what happened the last time around. Get that switch back when these guys compromise themselves into the chicane. We've got DRS this time, and now we're going to go for the attack here, but we get a little bit of a wheel there onto the grass. Have to go wide a little bit as I completely missed the braking point, and all the hard work that we just did to pass Sam, to pass Bottas, we've now got to do it all over again. And at this stage of the race, all I was doing really was just managing my own temper. I didn't want to get too angry and frustrated after I, whacked Vettel, lost my front wing, had to make a recovery drive, losing out to Sam and Hamilton in a double overtake attack. Then, obviously, I've just lost out again. Now we're fighting Sam and Bottas again. This time around, we take to the inside line, and on that occasion, we get the job done. Overtake secure. Hamilton and Sam can fight each other. We, with the ultra soft tyres, can now start to try and close that gap to Daniel Ricciardo. But before we can close that gap, Sam's not done with us just yet. Obviously, we need to make sure that we take advantage of being on the slightly, what is the faster tyre compound, but we're not the fastest in a straight line. And fun fact about Canada, it's high speed, so yeah, it's not going to help us too much, but we defend against Sam very nicely through there. He's lost a lot of time in that ordeal. Now we can start to try and close on Daniel Ricciardo in this Grand Prix, who's up into P5 in this race. Now, DRS is opening for us. Ricciardo is pressurizing one of the cars that's on a one-stop in this Grand Prix. It's one of the Audis or Porsches. It's Esteban Butler in the Audi, and we're going to... Oh, we tried to have a look there. We did have a little scrap trying to find that switchback. It didn't fully work out for us, but it still worked out nonetheless. We're up into 5th place now, and we're doing a great job here. Remember that we lost our front wing on lap 4 of this Grand Prix, and we've recovered to up to P5 at this rate. We can still get Daniel Ricciardo for P4, and we're really doing a fantastic job here. Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo for P4, I'm a plum sack, and I forgot to actually include the 2 major retirements in this race. Both Fernando Alonso and Reese have retired from the Grand Prix, but the Ferrari and the Mercedes that were way out in front, both of them retired from the race. I completely forgot to get that footage. I'm very bad when it comes to people retiring from the race because I'm too busy focusing on myself because they were both in the midst of me having a very big scrap. But we get past Daniel Ricciardo and all of a sudden we're up into the podium places now. Lap 32 of 35, we've got 3 to go. The gap between myself and Verline is 3.2 seconds. Ultrasofts versus his worn Supersofts. There is still a chance that we can catch that Porsche car and grab 2nd place in this race. Obviously, Verline will be desperate to get Porsche's first podium in Formula 1. And lap 33 of 35, we are now on the back of Pascal Verline. So that actually really didn't take us that long to get to the back of Pascal Verline. He's really struggling with those super soft tyres. Myself and Ricciardo are now reeling him in as we brake very late in towards this final chicane, adjusting my throttle just so I don't ram into the back of him here. Now we've got the DRS here. We're not even using high engine modes at this stage. We're just about holding on in there, but we get a massive screen freeze, but this time it doesn't quite cost us as much. This time we go towards the inside on Pascal Verline, swoop around the outside, get a bit of a drift going on there to defend the position, and that is us up into 2nd place in this race. Meanwhile though, Charles Leclerc wins the Canadian Grand Prix to take his 2nd race victory of the season, which means myself and Charles Leclerc have both taken 2 race victories this season. I've obviously won in Bahrain in USA, Charles Leclerc has won in Brazil, and he's also won here today at Canada. Now we're going to come through towards the final corner and what has been a very solid recovery drive. And honestly, braking my front wing actually kind of helped me a bit because it gave me the clean air that I needed and I was able to just push on from there. 2nd place for us in this race. I cannot fault with that. For us overall, we can put that as a positive weekend. But on your screens right now is going to be the race results. And as you can see, we have a brand new graphic for it. I've gone ahead, gone onto Photoshop and created a new F1 Journey graphics for the final pieces. So hopefully you guys like them because it took a long time. But as you can see, Charles Leclerc won the race in the Ferrari. We finished in 2nd place, 33 seconds behind. Pascal Verline picked up his first podium for Porsche, finishing 37 seconds behind, ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, and then also Sam in the McLaren, with Valtteri Bottas in the Audi coming up next in P6. George Russell taking P7 ahead of Esteban Ocon, and then it was Sebastian Vettel, my teammate, finishing in P9 with Nico Rosberg rounding out the top 10. And as you can see, Charles Leclerc set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:11.275, meaning that he does take the extra bonus point for the fastest lap, which of course we are doing throughout this season as well. So that's great stuff for him. Having a look then at the Drivers' Championship, and once again, new graphic now for the Drivers' Championship. So as you can see, we still lead the Formula 1 World Championship. We're on 68 points, but Charles Leclerc has now closed that gap at the top of the championship. It's now down to 7 points. He is on 61 points and is now our closest competitor in the order. George Russell is 3rd in the championship for Mercedes, just ahead of Sam. Both of them very closely matched. In fact, you could say from George Russell down to Sam, Ricciardo, Verline, and Bottas and Reese are extremely close, with not a lot to separate them at all. So yeah, Sam P4 with 38 points. Daniel Ricciardo finishes with 36 points, just 2 behind Sam, who I think he just beat Sam here today. So that's looking good for Ricciardo. Pascal Verline with that podium shoots himself up into P6 with Bottas now 7th in the championship. Reese in 8th in the championship after only picking up 2 points. Not been a great run for Reese so far. Vettel, my teammate, in P9, and then Fernando Alonso in P10 with yet another unfortunate DNF for him. And then we move into the Constructors' Championship now, and as you can see, Red Bull are leading the way by 11 points now over Ferrari. Ferrari definitely getting their momentum back. Mercedes slipping back, but they're not out of it just yet. They're only 5 points now off of Ferrari, so they're actually starting to close that gap quite nicely. McLaren are on 46 points and are starting to lounge back now in the championship, and they're falling into the clutches of both Porsche, Renault and Audi. Porsche with 44 points, Renault with 41 points, Audi with 38 points. Jaguar still critically have that 1 point to their name. Ford and Williams are still obviously yet to score. But with that all being done, we're now going to move over into the post-race notebook and have a look at what has been said after the Grand Prix. First things first, Christian Horner has hailed Tom's sensational comeback drive in the Canadian Grand Prix. As we saw, Tom broke his front wing early on in the race due to a spin from George Russell, which was the exact same carbon copy incident as he had in Brazil. This time around, it didn't all end in tears later on in the race. He managed to make some fantastic overtakes, make the strategy work back into the original two-stop plan, and he secured that second place, and he felt that Tom would have won if it wasn't for the collision at the start. Fernando Alonso has hit out at Ferrari's reliability as Leclerc celebrates his second win of the season. Meanwhile, as Charles Leclerc has won 2 races so far out of the 4, Fernando Alonso has not only yet to win, but has also DNF'd from the previous 2 Grand Prix, leaving him stuck down with 16 points, Charles Leclerc on 61 points. Fernando Alonso needs reassurance that the reliability is not going to be a complete issue, as obviously Fernando has been in too many cars with reliability problems. And Porsche are absolutely delighted that they have managed to hit their target of achieving a podium in Formula 1. They set out at the start of the season to get a podium in Formula 1. Hopefully, they were looking towards the end of the year, but they're absolutely shocked and delighted that it's come earlier on. They do admit that obviously their podium has come from the top drivers and their top teams failing to score points and having issues, but they've said that, look, at the end of the day, we have managed to capitalise on the mistakes and all of the problems that have happened, and we have taken that with full ease. So Porsche are absolutely ecstatic with that. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for the F1 journey round number 4 here at the Canadian Grand Prix. Next time around, we're going to Silverstone for round number 5, which will be the British Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys can tune in then, and we'll see where the story takes us. Take care all. Peace.